and really put together a group of young folk along with a group of older folk that really helped to change things. I mean, so many great things come out. I remember two key things, and I really want to hold up Mike Curry and Randy Haynes and Angela Perry and company. They did the Youth Summit over at UMass Boston, and they also did a Black History Day down at the John Hancock Building. And those two times were awesome. Another time where I think, I'm from New York personally, and I know that when I came here, I was looking for kind of like the soul of Boston. I was looking for it, you know, and there's one club called Afrocentrics that was held every Wednesday. And it was inspirational for me because I went in that club and there wasn't all the foolishness that was going on that you find at some of the other clubs like 3C's, K's, Oasis, whatever. You know what I mean? But there was some folks who were there to have a good time, to talk about intellectual stuff and read their poetry and showcase their talent. I mean, they brought the last poets and Sarah Jones. I mean, these people were awesome. They were incredible. And that's spirituality, absolutely. And but there's one last that was dear to my heart, and that's the South Central Ministry of the Boston Church of Christ. Yeah. These are a group of men. I've never in my life seen a group of more dedicated men. I mean, these men, we get up 5:30 every morning, and we sit down with our minister, and we pray over the city of Boston. And we go out and we reach out to different men. I've seen so many lives change. It's been incredible. And that's just not a cell. I mean, Michael Morris, some of you may be familiar with him, he was part of the Million Man Mobilization Committees. And he just made the decision, I'm going to take the black men who are dedicated to God, and we're going to go and do something for the community. Thus matching the scripture that I talked about, and exhibiting that integrity with Daniel. So I think those are three things that definitely inspired me about Boston, and I think it had an effect on the whole city. Yeah.
I'm short, you know, I gotta keep it real. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to thank, my name is Raul Almani, by the way. I'd like to thank Darius, because when you talk about slam dunk, this is a slam dunk right here. I met Darius at the pizza shop, gave him a business card. I would have not known about this if I didn't give him the card. So this is a slam dunk right here. So thank you, Darius. I'm watching cartoons right now. As far as role models, I'm serious. As far as role models are concerned, first of all, I just want to say, you know, I just say the truth. You know, I say the first thing that's on my mind. I know some of you guys, you know, some people don't like me. I really don't care, you know, but I just say the truth. You know, that's all I can do. I can say the truth. You know, some people are more articulate than others, but I just tell the truth. As far as role models are concerned, you know, I listened to the panelists, and I thought hard about what you guys said, and my dad's definitely a role model for me. But I think everybody needs to look within themselves. When you ask me, I'm 22 years old right now, and you know, I'm my role model in a way. You know, I look in the mirror, I kind of like me. You know what I mean? And I'm serious. I think you got to dig deep within yourself, and you know, I mean, I'm going to be 32 one day, I'm going to be 42, and I can't keep looking for role models to inspire. I think you got to dig deep down in yourself, and you're going to be your own role model. Nice. Thank you very much. First of all, you know, 2 weeks ago, I was involved in a near-fatal car accident. You know, I was coming down 93 South. My car flipped over. Next thing you know, I was being, you know, taken away in a stretcher. You know what I'm saying? Life is short. There are two realities. You're either going to live or you're going to die. You really have no control over what happens in the middle. Successful people do what unsuccessful people don't want to do. I mean, fortunately, I like being in front of a crowd, but, I mean, you got to do what you have to do. You know what I mean? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I can go on for an hour, you know, and I won't, you know. I won't, but, you know, I have no gripes. I have no gripes. What I want to say is that when you talk about Boston black politics right here, it says four other ways that you can get results from your elected officials. And then it says be proactive. That's the third sentence. I mean, be proactive. You know, at 22, I mean, I don't take myself that seriously. Keep in mind, you know, there's nothing that smart about me. You know, it's just like I can't rule the world by myself. But, you know, you got to start taking responsibility for your own actions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there are no handouts and like, nobody's going to give you anything. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you a little story. You know, I'm like, kind of short. But, you know, I went to Boston after high school. I went to BC for college. You know, I came out of college, and I've been told my whole life, get an education, you're going to get a good job, work your way up the corporate ladder. That was the inroads program, and, you know, all throughout my senior year, I thought I was going to get my nice offer, and, you know, I asked for the offer in September, you know, March came around, April came around, May came around, nothing. Nothing. June came around, I'm like, where's my job offer? I mean, there's no handouts. And it's kind of, you got to start doing things for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, nobody's going to give you anything, you know, and 20 seconds, all right. But you got to seize the opportunity today, not tomorrow, today. I sell life insurance, I do mutual funds, I'm a comedian, I do bar mitzvahs. And you know what? Everybody knows that. If you'd like more information, I'll be in the back. But thank you very much.
Direct us towards what we want to call the solution session. And certainly in this short amount of time, we're not going to figure out the answer to every situation we're wrestling with. But it does make sense to begin to focus our comments on suggestions for people in the room. And so the question that I present to the audience and to the panel that I'd like us to really think about is what are some of the barriers against Black folks participating in politics in this city? I mean, Dr. Brown gave some powerful examples of victories. And sadly, a lot of those victories are not, you know, yesterday, they're not last week. There's some recent examples, but the numbers are lower than we'd like to see them. So I'd like to have people in the room think about what's holding us back as a people in the city from participating in politics, and if you could, along with your response to that question, share a suggestion, something that might help us to mobilize Black folks to get involved in higher numbers. And this is open to everyone in the room.
I'd like to just make a suggestion about that in terms of, I understand what everyone in the panel and in the audience has said about the past, because the past is very important where we're going to be in the future. But in terms of the political future of the city and in this country, it basically not only hinges on grassroots, but a lot of money's involved in campaigns. I just want to be realistic with people. And I think the way that we're really going to become a powerhouse in this city is to really get the corporate minorities involved in not only grassroots or inner city issues, but to basically try to find a way to raise the money. The political action committees, I don't think we have any in this city or in this state that's ran by a minority. You have the Black Lawyers Association, you have a lot of the partnership. Those are the things we need to help them tap into, is to build a political action committee that will hopefully raise, you know, $25, $50, $100 a plate dinners, and then fund the candidate that you really want to be out there for lieutenant governor or governor. I mean, the last campaign for governor was an astronomical amount of money. Ted Kennedy ran in 1994 against Mitt Romney, $15 million each. It's not, let's just be very realistic about the fact that grassroots alone cannot do it. And I think as we go into the next century and people are getting very professional, you also have to be able to say, what are the cutting edges in politics? And the cutting edges is the political action committees. And I think too that party politics is also hurting us. Although I love the Democratic Party, I think they've done a lot, but at the same time, they have taken advantage of the minority vote throughout this country. And so for the next election in the year 2000, they have to know where our votes lie. It's just not the corporate minorities or the middle class or upper class blacks that should be benefiting from these elections, but you too who have no money, and we talk about South Boston or wherever else. I don't think they should just be the model for how we conduct ourselves in terms of what we do, but we also have to look at what other people are doing successfully in the political climate that we're living in. And Boston is about money, politics, and revenge. And the reality is that when you're in politics in this city, people never ever forget what you've done or what you said. And I ran a campaign, and I'm sure there's some people on the other side that will never forgive me for what I've said or done, regardless of if they respect me or not. The reality is, though, we raised the money. After Senator Diane Wilkerson, we raised close to as much money as she did to get our message out there. And so the reality is money talks in politics. And I know it sounds very good about let's get involved, let's get on. I sit on a board. I've sat on boards before, Central Boston Elder Services, Roxcomp, and I do want to get involved. But in running a campaign in this day and age, it just takes a lot. And my campaign manager, Bianca Perez, and the press secretary, Tiffany Warren, can tell you that it's we have to get the suburban blacks, Hispanics, really, really involved in the process. Although they move and they may be from Harvard, Suffolk, wherever, law school, or doctors, wherever they are, and they're living in Milton, Weston. We have Duval Patrick, we have Wingbutt. We have very successful minorities that they don't have to live in the city for us to tap into them. They raise astronomical amount of money for their candidates. Ask Duval Patrick how much money did he raise for Harshbarger. Ask how much money Wingbutt raised for Tom Riley. It was no joke. These people can raise some cash, and we need to really build a political action committee, even if it's headed by, a respectable person who can then say, okay, blacks have just raised $1 million. We're going to put $50,000 in back one governor, and money talks. You will be at the seat of decision making in the next administration. So it's just not about, let me get involved, let me get part of the electoral process, but we need the capital also to really merge with all our aspirations. And I think we need to get the young people involved in just running for political office also. Thank you.
Thank you. For the sake of time, we're hearing as many voices as possible. I appreciate that opening to this question. So a member of the audience want to come with your question and solution.
Again, my name is Rosamund. I wanted to address, I guess, what you said. I wanted to address 3 points, actually. Politics, corporate America, and sort of like history. Just very quickly, in terms of making ourselves effective, speak to what, I'm sorry, I forget your name. Toye Brown. Ms. Brown. You spoke of all the work that was done by the league and all that happened, and with all that energy and all of that, I wonder what happened, maybe, I don't know if anything stopped, but I look back. I remember I lived in Dorchester once with my aunt and uncle. I'm not from, I was born in Boston, but I was raised out in Newton. So I'm what you call suburban, black. When brought in, suburban black. And living in Dorchester, I used to put all these old newspapers, and they used to show pictures of the black community, and they were so dignified and so beautiful, and everyone was here. And I said, well, what happened? My friend who's running for office, Kenneth Reeves, explained to me. He said, back then, black people were Republican.
Sister Rose, I'm going to have to just remind you that we're focusing on solutions.
Right. So
okay.
In terms of politically, when black people seem to have been shining, they were Republican. And I think one of our mistakes is that we put our eggs in one basket. Traditionally, once Kennedy came to power, to make a long story short, I think we should spread our political support because all is not in the Democratic Party. In terms of corporate America, for someone who's unemployed, and I want to be able to give my money and support to candidates, I was fired. I was fired for doing a good job. I was fired for being one of the best. And that doesn't make any sense. So corporate America maybe needs to take some notice because there are people who are getting screwed over for no good reason. And lastly, you're speaking about, goodness, you need money. As Bill Bradley said, a poor man's pulpit is not a rich man's wallet. That's true. But the same way in our history, when the Haitians took over in Haiti back in 1804, they had no money, but they took over. So there are ways of harnessing power. Power is for those who have the courage, who are a little crazy enough to take it. So, and who are organized. Look at the people who are organized and the families. One thing I give the present administration is that they care for their own people and they know how to operate.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from a member of the panel. Again, I'm going to challenge us, y'all, to really keep in mind that what we're doing is focusing on solutions and suggested strategies. You know, this is a rare opportunity that we have with this many brilliant people in the room focusing on this. What are strategies to get Black folks in Boston involved in the political process? So let's really focus our comments on that, and also be cognizant of time. If a member of the panel might speak to some strategies and solutions.
Okay, we'll try to do this very, very quickly. You know, I'm the visitor from Oz across the river, so I can say incendiary things and I can go back over there. One of my hobbies is watching Boston Black politics because it's fascinating. When I started this hobby, it used to amaze me how in Black Boston there was like family dynasties. Like, I think at one time, one family had 3 members who were elected. It was bowling, bowling, bowling. So I used to wonder, when people went to the polls, how did they know which bowling they were voting for? Because often, you know, with surnames, people don't know. Like, you throw 3 Walshes in, how do you know you have the right Walsh? And I was just amazed that that could be, or Owens Hicks. And that was a sort of trend here, and I used to wonder, do people really know which of the people they're voting for? Now, you can never argue with the voter in politics because the voter is always right. The result is always right. You always get who they said. Now, I think in terms of Boston politics, what I think I see, I think this is a very vibrant community. It troubles me deeply as a visitor from Oz why more people don't register to vote. It's a huge question because really voter participation in Boston is terrible. It's terrible nationally, but it's particularly terrible here because you have a lot of people who do a lot more. That's terrible over my way too, but it's less terrible. Now, what can you do about it? Or why is that so? Now, as somebody from Oz who's also from Detroit, what I see here that is a distinct difference, and I came here to really say 2 little things. One is that one of the great and substantial weaknesses in the foundation of Black political Boston is home ownership is too damn low. You don't own enough of the city. And it's not the fault of the Black people. But now that the banks are opening up, now that we're in the hottest economy ever, you all have to go try to buy something. Anything. Because before this discussion is over, State of Young Black Boston, the entire area we in will have changed colors. And if you wonder about suburban blacks, you're going to be, it is a real diaspora we're in. So please buy something. I don't care what it is. Let go of the nail tips, the extension. Buy a house. Buy a house. Do it. Because when you own that house, then if in front of your house the road goes down, you pick up the phone, or somebody comes to you for your vote, you want to know, why is the damn street screwed up? Okay, buy a house. It helps you. It helps you. That's a political statement I know. The other thing that's very weird in Boston to me is that this is the only place I have ever been where you can be a big Black preacher politician and have a church with 10 people. In what I call real cities, if you are a major Black preacher, there's a major Black congregation. How can you be a major voice of the people? Ain't nobody behind you. A leader has power. You cannot be a leader without power. It's not possible. So if the leader don't have followers, who made the leader a leader? You have to do your own analysis. You have. Why is X my leader? Did I elect X? Or did somebody appoint X? Now, I think it's very important. I have seen the most unusual thing here happen. I have seen the elected officials get elected and say, we want an elected school committee. And I have seen the unelected, the religious community, come and say, well, we're on the side of the people who don't want an elected school committee. Now, how does that work? How can the religious community overrule the elected community and we have democracy? These are very interesting things to see from the village of Oz. Now,